Am I here? I'm trying to make sure I'm here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the studio this evening. I'm so happy that you could join me on this Wednesday to do a little bit of watercolor painting. I want to say welcome to Liza, Sudike, Jacqueline. Jacqueline's been a long time. I'm glad you made it back to the Wednesday watercolors. Today we're going to be painting this guy up here, a little winter cardinal. I love painting birds, and I'm trying to do some seasonal kinds of things. The cardinals, one of the birds that always remind me of winter, so we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to step out of my normal pattern here real quickly, and I'm going to paint a background on this. I'm going to start by painting a background. Actually, I'm going to kind of mix up some of my own gray here. Let's see. I'm going to use a little bit of Cobalt Blue and a little bit of burnt umber, and hope to make my own cool gray out of that. That looks lovely. And just I want to give a light wash of this gray on everything, just to give this a really cold feel. So I'm going to drop some color on here real quickly, and whoops, you can't quite see the corner. And as I'm doing this, I'll just tell you what I'm using today. And you see I've got a little different setup than I normally have. That's because I'm using some old bee paper. This is 140-pound cold pressed bee paper. And bee paper is, well, this is not the best idea to do. Bee paper always seems a little lighter to me than it should be, and it warps a little bit. So why I decided that I need to do a larger background on here, maybe I'm not so sure about, but that's what we're going to do. And I'm just going to drop some colors on here and let that mix and kind of get happy and happy and happy. Sylph is here. Good evening. Cardinals are your state bird. Fantastic. That clearly puts you in, I think, one of five different states, I think, have cardinals for their state birds. Jacqueline says it reminds you of Arizona football. I totally get that. Although, if you're a little older like me, and somebody says the Cardinals in football, I still, by default, kind of think of the St. Louis Cardinals. I know they moved a long time ago, but that's... when I grew up, that's what I watched, or just had watched several times anyways. They weren't my team. I grew up in Ohio. My team, well, we're not going to talk about my team, really, but let's just say that wasn't my team. And I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to drop in some of this color here, and then we're going to take a moment to talk about a few other things while we're doing this. I should say, in addition to the bee paper that I'm using to do these larger washes, I'm using my golden maple brushes here. Very nice mop brushes. I like them very much. And for a limited time, not too much longer, they've allowed me to put a discount code if you want to get these brushes on my channel. So if you want it, it's the link to these brushes are down there. I'm using the 4, and I've got a 2 here also. And they are very, very nice brushes. Very inexpensive. So if you want to add to your collection, or you just want to try out what maybe a mop brush is like, but don't want a huge expense, you can use that code down below and get yourself a nice set of quill mop brushes. And as always, the paints that I'm using over here are my M-Gram paints. Still in love with my M. Graham paints. How could you not be? They are creamy smooth. They lay down color beautifully. The colors are quite nice. Maybe they don't quite granulate as well as some, but that's okay. That's one of the qualities of those. And they re-wet beautifully. You get a lot of paint in each tube. I very much like my M. Graham paints. Let's see. Let's see. Sylph, I'm sorry. Sounds like you're living in the Shenandoah Valley. There you go. The Shenandoah Valley. I haven't even thought of the Shenandoah River in a long time. Well, I guess maybe that's not true. You know what? As I was out doing some fishing last weekend, I was listening to John Denver's Greatest Hits, and he mentioned Shenandoah River. All right. Now I've got a few smaller areas I need to get into down here. I'm going to drop down a brush size from this 4 to my 2 just to make sure I can get into these smaller areas. And some of this might look a little dark in here. This color, that's all right. As this dries, it's going to lighten up quite a bit. At least I'm hoping it's going to lighten up as it dries. It should. There we go. And I want to get this big cover down before I move on. So I'm not ignoring everybody in the chat. Please don't think I'm doing that. I just want to get this larger area done, and then I can look up. I don't want to stop what I'm doing because I know that this B paper, if you stop, it will create a hard edge, a tide line, if you will, wherever you stop. And I've got one right over here. Look, right there, you can just see it. I'm about to get a back run right there for some reason, which I'm not really wild about. But that's one of the qualities of B paper, is that it will, cause some weirdness. Okay, great place for us to stop. We've got our background on here. We don't need to do anything else with it. A little darker here, a little darker here. Hopefully that's going to frame. Actually, I should put a little darker over. Well, it's probably too late. Yeah, it's already started to dry. A little bit of darker areas. Hopefully it'll lighten quite a bit in the middle as it dries. And then we can focus on the Cardinal. Let's see. The Buckeye State. There you go. I love the Buckeye State. That's where I grew up. And my Ohio State Buckeyes just won the national championship for the first time in a decade. It was a long, arduous task to get there. Snooke asks, Jacqueline, you from Chicago? I'm about 3 minutes from where the Arlington racetrack used to be. And Sylph says, I love Am Graham paints too. It's the honey in them. You love the honey in them. The honey helps to keep them so moist. And if I pick this up and let you see it, whoop, most of these, even though these are dry, I used this and this. But look, the other ones stay so moist. They're all still shiny, and that's because of the honey that is in them. It helps to keep them just that little bit moist and helps so much in re-wetting them. Jacqueline says, you've never used bee paper. I would have to say I don't really recommend bee paper, but I have quite a bit of it left. Well, I have a few sheets of it left, maybe not quite a bit. I bought a roll of it. Again, I seem to do that every few years. I buy a roll of something, and I think I got a good deal on a roll of bee paper. and just started cutting it into different sizes. And this is what I happen to have left over, is kind of this, I don't know, this is 12 by 12. If I had a tape measure here, I would measure this. I don't know exactly how big this is, but it seems to be about 12 by 12, or I don't know, 13 by 13 inches. I've got 5 or 6 of these squares left. How does it handle scrubbing? It doesn't handle it all that well. So here's the thing about bee paper. Let me see if I have an extra sheet of it that we can play with. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Let's hold on. That's not. All right, here's bee paper. I had painted some chilies on this a long time ago. But you can see on here, or maybe you cannot see, this is their cold press paper. It's not really very rough, right? I hold it off to the side and you can't see any kind of indentions there, right? And let's see, if I get kind of a, let's do this. This is a brush that's got a bit stiffer bristles, and I don't mind doing this. Let's get this wet. Let it set for just a second, and then we can see how it scrubs. But as I remember, this paint, or this paper, doesn't scrub all that well. And so I can take stuff off of it. Now I covered up my paper towel. Woo! There we go. You can rub stuff off of it, but you can see, or maybe you can't see, I can see, you can see the scrub marks on it now. And it looks like it's lost some of its sizing just from that little bit of scrubbing. So, not the best. Like I said, it's a budget paper for sure. And I got it because it's 100% cotton. And it was my foray into cotton watercolor paper. And it's not the worst, but it's got its drawback. Like any paper, really, it's got its drawbacks. Let's see. Sylph says, "Take me home, country road." Sudika says, "John Denver, I love the song Calypso," right? Which was written while he was written about the ship Calypso while he was out exploring with Jacques Cousteau. I remember that song from growing up. Jacqueline says, "Originally I was, I guess, a Cub fan." Oh, a Cub fan the last few decades because you've been in Arizona, an Arizona fan. Okay. You wanted to downsize your home. I got it. Okay. Sylph says, "There's a dolphin in the Dolphin Research Center in Grassy Key, Florida named Calypso." That's kind of cool. Let's see, and Sudika used to work at a Holiday Inn in Tempe. I don't know about the bee paper, but M. Graham has honey binder in it, and it's really nice paint. That is true. And then you guys were talking about the racetrack, and Jacqueline says a lot of memories there. Liza says, "Yes, it's pilling a bit." It is pilling a bit. I don't know. It's just, like I said, all papers you kind of have to take, a little bit of good and a little bit of bad with. Bee paper has a few limitations that, are making a bit of a challenge. So we'll just take it and go from there. And Tracy Perkins is here. Hello, Tracy. I'm glad you made it. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're working. Please don't do anything to get in trouble at work. Liza says, "I used my bee paper to make some Christmas cards. They turned out fine." Yeah. And they can. And I don't mean to say that bee paper's bad. It's just got its challenges. All right. So now I'm going to pull this Cardinal up so you can see it. There it is, and you can see my drawing is pretty close to that. And what I want you to note is, we all think cardinals are red, and cardinals aren't always necessarily red. This guy has quite a bit of orange on him and quite a bit of gray. So we're going to mix in some of that orange and some of that gray into what we are doing on this bird. So I'm going to start by mixing a little bit of orange, and I'm going to use, my favorite warm yellow, which is Gamboge here, with a little bit of Pyrrol Red to make my orange color. Jacqueline says, I think I'll pass on bee paper. I'm not espousing anybody use bee paper. And actually, for the price, that bee paper is now probably that bow hung paper that you buy. Well, I guess you can get it anywhere now. The bow hung paper, about the same price. A much better deal and much better paper the bow hung paper is. Sylph says, I bet the bee paper is wonderful if you are a professional because you can paint on anything. Yeah. It's all you have to do is understand what the limitations are of the medium or whatever you're using here, and you'll be a lot better with it. Okay, so a couple of things before I get started here. I painted his head as a triangle, and I didn't specifically sketch out any feathers up here on his crown. So we're going to draw those in afterwards, and that gray can just do whatever that gray is going to do back there. So that's going to go up. I blocked out. Whoops! I'm out of focus. I blocked out some basic color shapes. I'll hold this up so you can see. I didn't get too in depth, right? You've got the black here around his beak. His head comes all the way down here in one shape. I hope you guys can see these lines. And then his body and his tail way back down here, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 big blocks basically to paint, right? And then some little things on the side, which we'll get to. So, having said that, I'm going to jump in and do a little bit. I'm just going to turn my page just a bit here. And I'm going to start to drop in some color. And I am going to try to keep a wet edge. And I'm going to try to dampen this whole area. And in addition to that, I'm going to try very hard. Oh, now I just lost my train of thought. I'm going to try, let's see, I'm going to keep a wet edge. I'm going to try very hard to vary the color here as I go through this too. I think if you can vary the color a little bit on an image, it's going to look just that little bit more lively, a little bit more lifelike. And you're going to enjoy it more. Your viewers are going to enjoy it more. And so I'm going to give that a shot. As I come over to the side over here, he's got quite a bit more gray in him. So I'm just going to drop some of that gray that we used on the background in there. And I'm going to let that come up. And that can join the party and have fun with all the other colors here. I'm okay with that. Actually, as I look at it, he's got some of this gray over here. One of the nice things about keeping a wet bit of your paint here is that you can continue to go back and work and rework it. Now, the bee paper is a bit more limited than other paper like that. It does soak in the color a little bit, and it does lend itself to maybe a little bit more of allowing a back run than a heavier paper would. Right? If you use that bow hung, if you use arches, if you use Fabriano paper, something like that, that paper is going to hold that water a lot better and not really allow so many back runs. But the bee paper being so light, it's going to allow that a little bit. Oh, somebody's here. Goody Gumdrops is here. Welcome. And Sherry's here. Sherry, you snuck in. I didn't see you. No, I'm sorry. Sherry, it's Susie. I don't know. Oh, whatever. Let's see. Who else? Natalie. Natalie's here. All right. Way to go. Bead paper has deteriorated since I first got some. I had a package of 25 sheets and a couple of sketchbooks of 100% cotton, and it was pretty good. Yeah, Sherry, it's gone downhill, unfortunately. I don't buy much of it. I've bought several packs, like you said, back in the day, and it got a little worse over time. And I've talked to other people who have used it from time to time, and they're like, it's just not. Let's just say it's not all that in a bag of chips anymore. So, there is that. Let's see. Correction, Jacqueline, what did you say? I have a huge stash of cotton rag that has gone bad because of Arizona desert temps and zero humidity. Oh, it's gone bad because of the lack of humidity in Arizona? The sizing can deteriorate over time regardless of where it's stored. Some environments will help it deteriorate more quickly, but it will go on you. All right, I'm just, since his head is wet here, I'm just trying to get his beak here, just some general color on his beak. Okay, already he's starting to look good. Or at least he's recognizable, which is a place to go. Who's this? Ellie Rhea. Ellie Rhea is here. Hello, Ellie. Welcome. Talking about things going bad. Acrylic paint is nasty when it goes bad. I had to throw a painting away because of the smell. Interesting. I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm sorry to say I don't do acrylic painting. But I totally will take your word for it. Let's see. I want to get some more of my gray going over here. So I think I was using, what was I using? This burnt umber and a little bit of cobalt, and that's how I was making my gray. There we go. That's a beautiful color, gray. Eliza says, Ellie Rhea, I heard gouache could go bad too, although it hasn't happened to me yet. I hope not. I just bought a cheap thing of gouache. I don't want it to go bad. Let's see. Jacqueline says, no, humidity deteriorates sizing. That makes more sense. And Natalie says, I painted a female cardinal at my parents' in Missouri a few years ago. It was fun. There you go. I thought about painting a pair of cardinals, and for the life of me, I don't know why I didn't. I saw this picture. I just kind of liked this picture, so I grabbed it, and then I drew it, and it's pretty good. I think the drawing is pretty good, resembling the reference photo, but I think I made him a little too stocky. He looks quite chunky, if you ask me. But I guess we'll find out for sure once we... It's hard for me sometimes to concentrate and talk and paint at the same time. I'm trying to do a good thing and stay between the lines and not go outside the lines. And I'm just a little worried because where my wrist is resting, it's still just a tiny bit damp. All right, and Ellie, it's Elleria. I got it. Thank you for spelling it out for me. Trying to read on the go and paint and talk sometimes gets a little bit difficult. Let's see, I had something trying to get me a month ago and drank the fire cider, and it... All right, Liza, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Sylph, I'm not sure what you guys are talking about here. Let's see. Ellie Rhea says, my gouache and watercolor are behaving themselves so far, but I thoroughly dry both of them out after use. Always a good idea. I know that in damp environments, I don't know where you're at, Ellie Rhea, but in damp environments, it's easy for some mold to get into your watercolor palette. I do know that. And Jacqueline says, gouache should be allowed to dry or you'll get mold in your palette. There you go, just like watercolors. There we go. I do know some things. All right, cool. I've got his head here. I like the start on his head here. Now we're going to paint in his tail down here. Like that. Now we've got to paint his body up here. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Organic lemons and limes. What? Fire. Oh. Sylph of the Wildwood says fire cider has horseradish root, turmeric root, ginger root, jalapenos, onions, garlic, rosemary, cinnamon stick, and pour apple cider vinegar with the mother in it. Steep for 4 weeks. Woo! Put in some organic lemons and limes. Holy cow! Sudike, you beat me to it. Holy cow! Blow off the top of your head. Right, holy cow. I don't know. Wow, that would blow the top off of anything, I think. Phew, there's a lot of stuff in that. All right, moving on. I'm going to remix a little bit of my orange red color here, my orange yellow. Again, Gamboge, my favorite, warm yellow, and a little bit of Pyrrol Red. It's going to give me my general color. And then I think I can do this to trying to keep a wet edge so I don't get a tide line in here. I'm pretty sure I can do this. I'm just going to drop in a couple of lines in his, what I'm going to call his bib right there. There. And as we go down a little bit more of the Gamboge in some areas, a little bit more of the Pyrrol Red in some areas. And before I get too far, I probably want to drop in a little bit of that gray in a couple of areas, namely back here, I think. And I've got to keep working this because I know I will get a tide line. I don't want to get a tide line. So if I were doing this outdoors and it was warm and it was sunny, would I be able to call that tide line a tan line? Maybe. Probably not, right? Probably not. Are we too far away from summer for that? Can we just say I don't know how to make make jokes? Yeah, I miss Minty and Thirsty being here. They were the ones who made all the jokes. Let's see. Oh, you guys are okay. I'm trying to I look up and you guys are talking about brie and something else going on, and fire cider. I think I gotta get out of this and get into that conversation here just in just a minute. I'm busy painting away here, and you all are talking about food and drink. Okay. So I got some different colors on him here. And I like where we're going with this. Maybe this might be a little bright down here, but that's okay. We'll probably have another couple of layers we can adjust that color with. And we got this little sliver of this guy over here, just on the outside of this branch. And a little bit here, I think. I think I drew his feet there a little big, but that's okay. All right, I like where we're going with it. Let's see. Let's see. Elria who says that red is pretty. That red is so pretty. It's interesting. I love letting the watercolor do watercolory things. So just so you all know, this is my palette, right? It's right there. I've just transposed it onto here. And this is kind of in a little bit lower light, so you can't see it so well, but I'm using Pyrrol Red for my orange here. Pyrrol Red and Gamboge, just a mix of those. And my gray is Cobalt Blue and Burnt Umber. Make a nice gray. Look at that gray background. It looks cold and wintry now, doesn't it? It's nice, and I like that. There's some interest in here. There's not a lot, but there's just enough. That's all way back in the back, out of focus, right? Kenya's here. Hello, Kenya. I'm glad you came back. A bit late, but you made it. You're right on time. Okay, so now I'm not going to paint the black quite yet. I'm going to move back to, I think I can move back to his head, which is probably just dry enough. And we can, love that Pyrrol Red, Pyrrol, Pyrrol Red. I think of it as like fire engine red. That's really how I think of that Pyrrol Red. Okay, so I'm going to come back onto his head here, and I'm going to start to put in a second layer of paint. Let's see, Sylph says, I have 10 pairs of Cardinals. Wow, you have 10 pairs of Cardinals. Holy cow. Do you think mine looks nice? Let's hold that off. I hope it's going to look nice by the time we're done. Or it still looks nice by the time we're done. Okay. I'll let you guys see this one more time. Let's go to the reference photo here and just look at his head shape. And I'm going to start putting in some, a second layer that's going to start to darken and intensify the colors in a couple of areas. Okay. So if I come back here now, this area up here, I want to be darker. Maybe a little bit around his eye, a little bit underneath his eye, and then a little bit through the middle here. Okay, that's what I'm hoping to do on this layer. So I'm gonna, and if it looks too bright, I've got this gray. Well, maybe I have this gray. I can always mix some more gray. Who called me out last week for not mixing my own gray? I'm taking it as a challenge. I'm mixing my own gray this week. So I'm gonna get some of this color, and I'm gonna put it on here. And like I said, if it seems a little bright, I can always drop in a little bit of that dark. Should make this just a bit more. And I'm going to start to blend this out a little bit. Or a lot of it. I do have a bit more paint on here than I probably need. That's all right. We'll get this nice long blend coming out here. Give me a little bit more of this color so I can go right around this eye. That's going to help set up that eye socket right there. And I said I want to get a little bit of this. Let's tone that down a little bit. A little bit of that underneath here. Something like this. Oh, I know you guys are chatting away. I need a moderator. I need somebody to... I need help. I need help. A little bit of color here in the middle. Let's do this. Oh, don't get a hard edge on me. Don't do it. Well, let me scoop some more of this color. I don't know if I caught that quite in time. We might have a little work to do to fix some of this. That's a definite limitation of this paper. Let's get some more of that gray out here. Whoops. Whoops. There we go. I don't want it totally gray. How am I looking? I can just backfill some of this. Just look at this and go, I want a little color here. I want a little warmer there. I want a little cooler there. We can add on some color however we want. All right. I'm gonna stop what I'm doing right there with this guy. And I'm actually kind of happy with what we have at the moment. I think I can extend this darker area up when I make his crown up here, and that'll pull some of this other color up also. I know I don't have it there quite yet, but we're going to put it on. And I wanted this little dark right next to here. And I want to leave it lighter right at the edge because I'm going to put it a little bit darker just underneath that. Okay, so now, Ellie Rhea says, we're behaving ourselves. I haven't tried 2 colors, but I've done 3. Wait a minute. Oh, I missed something in there. Sherry, how cold is it where you're at tonight? What did Sherry say? How cold is it? I don't know. Today here, it's pretty nice. This is our warmest day here in quite a long time. Sylph says, pets are our best friends. Squirrel, oh, you're all talking so fast. I can't. Squirrels are fun too. They will take our peanuts out of our hands. Wow, they also love peanut butter. Let's see. Jacqueline, you have to shake it up a bit this year and get out a bit more. Liza is saying, Jackie, you gotta shake it up and get out a little bit more this year. I don't know if that's true or not. Oh my gosh, Sylph says it's 6 degrees there. Woo! Dwayne V is here. Hello, Dwayne. I'm glad you made it. Thank you for taking the time to, visit me, but everybody here on the live stream. We're all friends and one big cohesive group here, so I'm gonna say thanks for making it for everybody. Just include everybody in there. I think everybody will kind of be okay with that. I'm gonna do a little negative painting here around some of these tail feathers. Let's see. Jacqueline. Oh, Jacqueline's moving out of the community so she can do some moving and shaking. Susie says, Sherry, it's -4 Celsius here in Maryland. That's 15 degrees. That's way too cold. Kathleen is here. Did I miss a Kathleen in there somewhere? If I did... Natalie says, hi, Kathleen. Where's Kathleen? How did I miss Kathleen? I got to scroll back up now, everybody. Hold on. I missed. I can't. Oh, there's so much going on. I can't see. Ellie Rhea says, I make my own gray from a little bit of everything. I try to use 2 colors on my grays. Oh, there's 100 different ways to do it. I try to just use 2 colors on my grays. Sometimes I have to sneak in a third. If things aren't going quite the way I want them to, sometimes I do have to sneak in a third color. Give some extra little tint to things, but I try to only do 2. I just like I like that you can easily tint your gray however you want to if you're using 2 colors. If you're using 3, it gets a little bit harder. You can still do it. It just gets a little bit harder. And if you're using 4, of course, it's going to get harder still. Oh, Kathleen, there you are. I see, Kathleen. You're in Northern California. It's 21 degrees outside and windy there. We don't have much snow, but we see the mountains have a little bit of snow. So I'm in California with you, Kathleen. I can't see any snow from anywhere. I live coastal, and I don't think we've seen snow here in about 15 years. It's been chilly a couple of times, but not really snowy cold. And I want to say, yeah, it's been about 15 years since we've seen any snow where I live. But like I said, I'm awfully coastal. If I got any more coastal, I'd have beachfront property. If I got any more coastal, I'd be in a floodplain. Here comes the eye. Liza, here comes the eye. Liza loves when I paint the eyes. No, I'm looking for something to paint while everything else is wet. I should paint the tree here, or this little branch. Let's do that. So that branch, everything else on this picture is cold, right? The bird's got this gray on him that gives a cold tint to him. The background is, of course, this gray, cold, blue-gray, cold color. Well, in this instance, this branch looks more alive than anything to me, so I'm going to try to paint it that way a little bit more. I'm going to use a little bit of this burnt umber. I use a lot of burnt umber, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of my olive green. Whoop. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about. There's my burnt umber. There's my olive green. Oh my Lord, and spider just walked in front of my eyes. He's walking up the cable of my camera right here. Scared me. And then, I don't know, I'll mix in maybe a little sepia in here. Let's see what that looks like. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Well, oh no, I'll mix in a little neutral tint. That'll work out. Oh, I like that. Okay, cool. So now, wait. Ellie Rhea, you love somebody else's videos. Who are we talking about? Sudike, whose videos are we talking about here? I don't see. Dwayne V says, I miss Lassen County, California. We had snow yesterday in Alabama. Woo! Wow. That can't happen all that much. I can't imagine you get a lot of snow in Alabama. I will admit, though, I do watch a fishing video from a guy who... Oh, John Muir. Yeah, okay. I do watch a fishing video from a guy who lives in South Mississippi. And he was complaining today that he couldn't get out and go fishing because he's got 8 inches of snow on the ground. And all the roads are closed and he can't get out of his house. So he couldn't go fishing. And yes, I did think it was a little funny. I grew up with a lot of snow. I do have some sympathy for people who don't typically deal with snow, have to deal with snow. It's not the cold, it's the slippery, oftentimes, that gets you. Or the wind. You prepare for cold, you think it's going to be cold, and you put a jacket on, and your jacket isn't windproof, and the wind just whips right through you and makes you so freezing cold. It's tough. It's tough. Those cold temperatures, the blustery days. Winter is tough sometimes. All right, I thought I had a little too much color on there, so I just grabbed that with a kind of a damp brush and pulled a lot of that color down. Zoom. I guess I can do this a little more quickly than I'm doing. I'm trying to be really careful. I guess all I have to do is be careful right at the tip of my brush. What I should be doing this with are my golden maple brushes. This would be great for doing a nice bit of painting like this. All right, give me a little bit of this sepia. All right, maybe mix that in with some of that green. Maybe there's a little something going on this branch. Right, a little something here. A little bit more of this blue in here. Let me just come underneath. Let's see, a little bit of Cobalt Green, a little bit of that Cobalt Blue, maybe a little bit of that color we've already got. Just put some of this on. A couple of spaces. Just, I don't want to overwhelm this with a whole lot of color, but I wanted to give it something to give it some life in here. So if we can make this a little bit mottled, I think that will do the trick. We can actually scrub some of this out. And then, right wherever we've got some underneath part, we can put a little extra bit of color on that. I actually like painting sticks and twigs and whatnot. There's no real wrong way to do it. However you put some color on there, it's usually going to look pretty good. You just have to go, I don't know what the end product is going to look like. I'm going to trust that I'm going to put some color on here and it's going to turn out. And by and large, most of the time it will get a little bit darker on a couple of these areas. I'm liking the way this is starting to look. I think it's getting there. If we could put a little bit of maybe color on this other side here too, in a couple of places. Come on, olive green, come on out and play. Does that look like a stick? Is it starting to look like a branch? I don't want to do too much and take away from our bird, but this branch is kind of like right there. I put it off to the side so it wasn't quite so right in the middle. But I think I like that. Loving the knobs on the branch. Yeah, I got a couple little things here and there. Right, here's actually could darken this one up a little bit more too. I mean, that's the way a little branch is. A little, you know, there's little bumps and humps and little things on there that typically give it interest, right? So let's not paint it as this monolithic thing. Let's give it the character that it's due. I'm painting off there. It's like, yes, it's wonderful. It looks like a branch. All right, I got the approval that it looks like a branch. All right, now we got to do the whole thing all over again and do this one over here. I mean, we don't have to, but we're going to. I guess we could leave it white. Oh, what colors did I use? I've forgotten. Oh yeah, some of this. There we go. Good. Some of this burnt umber. Up here, I had some blue and olive. All right, good. We're good to go here. Let's see. Ria for pain. I just discovered Big 6 on YouTube. I had it last night and tried it. It's a lymphatic thing. Such a different that I'll do it every day from now on. Oh, that's good. I'm glad that is working for you. Let's see. Let's see. And Liza says squirrels will chew on branches because their teeth always grow. They leave me little sticks as thank yous. I guess that's good. That's one thing I don't have at my house are squirrels. And honestly, it's a weird thing, but it took me like 8 or 9 years to figure out that I don't have squirrels at my house. They're around, just not here. It's the weirdest thing. I do live in a small little city, but still I would have thought we'd have had some squirrels in and around, but nope. No squirrels at my house. All right, now's when I have to be a little bit more careful. Not a lot, but a little bit more careful. Just because I don't want to, go too far outside this and make this too heavy of a line. But I guess if I do make it too heavy of a line, all I've got to do is continue that width, that thickness of that line the entire way of it, and I guess that fixes it. And I think actually it's harder to paint little sticks like this than it is to paint big ones, because the big one, you got more room to do what you want to do in it. These little thin sticks, well, you got to do a lot in a little space, or you got to do nothing, and you're reliant on the viewer's eyes to pick up a lot of things. But I think a few lines strategically placed here and there, and we'll get it just like we want it to. Let's get some of that Cobalt Green in there. I think it's gotten a little heavy. And if anybody's going to ask, will it bother me that these two sticks or these two branches don't look exactly alike? I'm going to say not really. Thinner branches grow slightly differently than thicker ones, and so if they look a little different, that's okay. Ooh, actually, I kind of like this too. I like what he's sitting on here. All right. Oh, there we go. Now he's hiding behind something a little bit. There we go. All right, now I've got a little time. I can read. Woo. That's because squirrels are all, Eliza says, there's no squirrels at my house because they're all at your house. So I grew up not far from Kent State University. Does anybody know, as it relates to squirrels, Kent State University's claim to fame? This is a trivia question. You didn't know, nobody knew it was going to be trivia night, but it's trivia night. Does anybody know what Kent State's claim to fame is with squirrels? And I should also say that my house in Ohio, where I grew up, we didn't have any squirrels that I remember at my house there. My really first real memory of squirrels comes from Kent State University. Anybody? I hope you love it as much as I do. So, let's see. What did Sylph say? I found it, thanks. And oh yeah, squirrels are prey for hawks and all kinds of animals. Oh yeah. That's true. Anybody want to take a guess on the Kent State squirrel claim to fame? Which actually I think is pretty interesting. That's how I know Kent State is from the song. Let's see, we got all kinds of black squirrels here. Yes. I don't know if somebody put it there, somebody mentioned it. Anyway, the squirrels on Kent State's campus are all black in color. There are no gray squirrels, there are no brown squirrels, there are all black squirrels. So I remember growing up seeing a lot of black squirrels and thinking all squirrels were supposed to be black for a while. And then somebody said, well, no. Most squirrels aren't black. Most squirrels are gray or brown or whatever. And I was like, wait, what? Hold on. Back the truck up just a second. What do you mean they're not black? Nope. That's a genetic oddity of the squirrels on Kent State's campus. I was like, I had no idea. How would I ever have known that? It's not like I grew up there. Oh, wait, I did. And now I'm going to diverge into a completely different topic from squirrels. Because you all could have done this when I was asking the question. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Does anybody do podcasts here? Does anybody listen to podcasts? I listen to a lot of podcasts. And I oftentimes am reaching out to other people to find interesting, quirky, weird, fun podcasts to listen to. And I stumbled upon one, and I don't know if I've talked about it here before. If I have, somebody will tell me. I stumbled upon one that's called James O'Brien's Mystery Hour. Just say, so Liza, you listen to podcasts. Ellie Bria, you listen to podcasts. I listen to James O'Brien's Mystery Hour. Now, the podcast itself is fine. He's an entertaining talk show host, and he talks about a lot of different things. But what makes his show interesting is that he asks that the callers not look anything up. It's a call-in question and answer show. You can call in and ask a question, and other callers will come out with answers, and somewhere in between you find the truth of things. Anyways, he asks people not to look it up, and he's pretty good at detecting if somebody has looked things up. And you get the most interesting group of people who will call up and say, oh, I've got an answer for this, and this is how I know it. And he asks everybody how they know it. And it's so interesting. So it made me think of it when I said, does anybody know this? And then I was going to say, but you can't look it up because he doesn't know. PS for Pieces here. Hello from Minnesota. Your friend's neighborhood had some white squirrels. Now that's interesting. I would love to see some white squirrels. White squirrels would be neat. Were they, so, I don't know if you know or if anybody has done a test or anything like that. Were they white or were they albino squirrels? I kind of, oh man, I left a fat leg there. If you know, that'd be cool. All right, I'm going to paint a leg here. Let's paint a leg. I'm just blocking in some color. I don't want this really heavy. We'll come back and we'll put another layer on here. I'm just getting in some basic color on this leg. I guess I should look. How are we doing for time? I know I can easily do an hour and a half and people can hang with me. I think we've noticed that if I start to linger towards that 2-hour mark, we start to lose a few people, and I don't want to lose anybody. So I need to look to see where we're at. We are at, well, we're just over an hour. Oh, I got plenty of time to jabber on. Liza says, I'm doing great on time. And PS for Peace says, they are likely albino. But still, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Albino squirrel. Wow. I know there's albinoism everywhere, but until you see it, it's just a thing, right? But it would be awesome to see some white squirrels running around. They probably do really well in the winter because they're harder to find and catch. But I would suspect they have a hard time in the summer. Because who said it? Tom? No. Who said it? That they are often prey animals. Oh, I don't know who said it. Somebody said it. I tried to look back. I saw an albino robin once. It was bizarre looking. Wow, now that's interesting. Let's see, some podcasts. Dwayne. Dwayne, you're the one who said they often get picked off, which they do. Not often a happy outcome, but true nevertheless. All right, I need to get a little bit of a darker bit of a color here because I'm going to paint the underside of his beak, and I believe I'm correct in calling this a beak. I think only waterfowl have bills, right? Only waterfowl and buffalo, the city of Buffalo, have bills. Okay. as long as I keep this damp, I can kind of play with these colors all that I want to. And I don't know if you can see that little light spot in the center. Oh no, that little light spot in the center, I want to keep that. Where did that come from? All right, hold on a second. Look what I've done. It's now an original. Oh, I can't get it off of there. It's now, you know it's one of mine because I've gotten my fingers in it. It's got my palm print. You'll always know it's me because my palm print will be here. I don't even have to sign it now. It's it's got my signature right there. Dwayne V. Western Kentucky squirrels are just white versions of eastern gray squirrels due to a condition called leucism. Leucism? Interesting. Interesting. Put a bird on it. Put a bird on that. That's it would work out. It would work. I don't know if we have time to put a whole bird on that. All right, but we do have time. Oh, now I need to check. We do have time to do a little bit more of his beak up here. Now I feel a little like self-conscious now. Like I'm afraid I'm gonna get it all over the place now. It's a feature, right? There you go. It's a feature. It's just a happy accident. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's not going to bother anything. It's not going to affect the end product. It's just a happy accident. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. How does that beak look? Is it looking good? I want to get a little lighter spot right there, and that's why I'm pulling out. You see me pulling off some color. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And then I want it a little darker just here. Come on. Just there. I think it's going to just give this a little bit more something, a little bit more texture, movement, shape. Oh, I think you could see, I think you can just see that. In fact, I think if I pull this down even further, might be even better. Let's see. There we go. Okay, cool. I like that. So let me hold that up so you can see his beak here. So I've left that little light space right there, and now it gives that top a bit more dimension. The top of that beak, a bit more dimension. And that's exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted. I want it to feel like there's some stuff to it. Uh-oh, what are we talking about? Dried leaf sound. An errant dried leaf. Oh, down here, an errant dried leaf. Yeah, right. Dried leaf sounds good, right? Does anyone wet the front and back of their paper to keep it wet longer? I've done that, and then I just let it dry. Sherry says, you rinse your brush in coffee. Interesting. And Jacqueline says, invest in an acrylic bridge if it's a constant problem. Is that so you can hold it up like this so you don't do what I did? That would work. Liza says, the beak is looking good. Let's see. Ellie Rhea says, I blend things I didn't mean to, so I've decided to specialize in blending. Can't beat him, join him. There you go. I'm a big fan of and I've talked about this many times, and some of the people here can attest to that. I'm a big fan of telling people to figure out how to paint in a style that suits you, such that if you overblend, not that you're necessarily overblending, but if you blend a lot, let's just say it that way, you blend a lot and that's a thing that you do, find a style of painting that fits your blending, right? Or make that your style so that you blend things even more than other people, and go with it. I spent far too long trying to emulate what other people have done in their painting styles, thinking, oh, I'm just going to change my style to fit that and everything's going to be great. And I go ahead and change my style, and the next thing I know is, oh, I don't think I've got this quite right, and you try something else and try something else and try something else, and pretty soon you're a mini version of somebody else. You're not a version of yourself. And so I'm a big fan of saying, if you do more blending or something similar, man, work that in, make that part of your style of painting, embrace it, lean into it, and go with it. So I applaud that. It's kind of the if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. All right, where's my that's no longer gray, that's got green in it. Get that color out of here. Where's my gray? Blue, come on blue, come on blue. There's a little bit of gray. I'm going to drop some of this gray color back in here as this is getting a little bit light. And it looks like this guy's got some gray scattered around. This next layer is lovely. Who said that? That's so nice. Liza. I should have known. Thank you, Liza. Oh, I'm in danger of getting too close to the color of that stick right there. I don't want to do that. And I'm trying hard to keep my edge just ever so damp over here. I want to keep this gray up here. So right, that's pretty gray. I want to keep some of this gray up at the top up here to kind of match the gray that's already there. I think that's going to be pretty good. And then as I come down, I just noticed, as I'm doing this, I just noticed I've got quite a bit of hair on my palette over here. I don't know whose long hair that would be. Certainly it's not going to be mine. I'll have to find somebody to blame for that. Who would have long hair and paint watercolors and get their hair all over everything? It just seems a bit ridiculous to me. All right. Some color over there, and we got to get this guy out here, some color. Well, let's get him a little brighter color than that. Way out there. And a little bit there. Oh, okay. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Coffee can be a comfort in the cold. Coffee can be a comfort anywhere. Oh, no, Sherry says everything tastes bad when you have a cold. Oh, yeah, colds are no fun. Okay, so wet here. I actually like our stick here. I think our stick turned out good. I like the stick over here. We got some work to do on his feet, but I can't do it yet because that body is wet. But we can do some of the work up here And I'm going to try that right now. I'm going to turn this over. And I'm going to get a couple of, like a gradient of colors here. And I'm going to see if I can't pull some of this color up out of that little bit there. I probably will have to have this somewhat wet. There we go. The good thing is it doesn't matter what this guy's hair, I call it hair, right? What it looks like, it can look like anything. There's no right and wrong, as long as he's got something going on up there. And if I've done this right, I can blend all of that color right in, and we shouldn't notice too much that it's too different. And I think that looks quite nice. But I am going to continue to darken right around here. Right around his eye there. Oh, yes, yes. Yes, let's keep going with that. I wasn't really planning on having 3 layers on here, but you know what? If it's going to work out at 3 layers, let's make it be 3 layers. Because I think his head is starting to look really good up here. I like the way that looks. I like the way that, I'm just going to say, I like the way that looks. The magic of that red. The magic. Let's see if we can't keep the magic going. Let's see if we can't do that. Some of the magic anyways. Let's see, where can I... Now I'm looking to see where can I put my hand and where can I not put my hand. Oh, I think he's going to turn out really nicely. And I do really like that there are some lighter areas in his head and there are some darker areas. I don't mean in his head, but this area right up here. I can't go back to it at the moment because my paint isn't quite right. Right, my water isn't right for me to get back into that at the moment. Oh, but I think he's adorable. Look at him. So we're gonna darken this up. We're gonna get some feathers on here, and I think his head's gonna be great. I think I do have to try to get something here. I've got a couple of lines that I want to get rid of. Okay, that should do it. Oh, his head just pops off the page right now. Sylph says, he's a beautiful cardinal. He's getting there. Susie says, Discord link is in the description box below this video. Yes. Oh, that's right. I should say, next week, excuse me, for those of you who aren't regulars, I think there's a few of you here. Next week, I am doing my challenge. I have a challenge that I put out for everybody on Discord once a month. And this month, the challenge is penguin. So if you would like to take up the challenge and see if you can't paint a penguin, you can go on to my Discord channel and post your penguin there. Or you can just, stop back here next week when I'll be doing my version of a penguin. I've got the reference photo that I'm going to be using posted up there. And you can see how I'm going to do it. There really are no secrets to it. I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I've been doing here. Only I'm going to try really hard, maybe not to put my palm in it. and we'll have something very nice to show at the end of our hour together, or our hour and a half together, whatever it ends up being, and you'll see my challenge. And it's a fun way to challenge yourself, just to do something different. You'll probably see something there that you wouldn't normally paint, and I think that's a good thing. Right? I know that for myself, I get in ruts of painting, birds. I really like painting birds. I think birds are fantastic. And actually, now that I think about it, I did birds this whole month, didn't I? A penguin's a bird too. All right, so this is the month of birds. Now that I think about it. Yes, so it's just a fun way to challenge, like I said, to challenge yourself. Maybe step outside your comfort zone and try to do something a little different. It's fun, and if you want to share it, that's awesome. If you don't want to share, I get it. You don't have to, but I would encourage you to try the challenge and see if you can have some fun and what it turns out to be like for you. And I bet you'll do a great job with it. Sherry says, I like that Cardinal. Sherry says, did you see my Cardinal? Sherry, I did. I saw one on the way out here. I got a ding on my phone as I was coming to set everything up, and I didn't get a chance to respond to it. I saw it for only like 5 seconds. I hit here, and I went tick, 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 and then I went, okay, hold on a minute. So something else grabbed my attention, but I'm going to take a closer look at it. But what I saw, I really liked. I thought it was fantastic. Let's see. I tried Discord back about 7 or 8 years ago about conspiracy themes, but I could not figure it out. Just getting old. Yeah, Discord is weird. They've tried to make it better. They've tried to get more people involved with it. It is a strange program. I can't quite do that yet. It's a bit of a strange program. I will grant you that. But if you get on and join a server or 2 servers, you can search through and find the one you like, and then you stick with that. It's usually pretty good. I keep saying I want to do more with Discord, and I do. It's just like everything else. It takes time. And time seems to be one thing I'm running short of most of the time. How does that work? Time is one thing I definitely seem to feel I run short of a lot. I guess time is something we all run short on of, isn't it? I got to do D Live for a bit, but I think it's not even there anymore. There are a lot of Discord channels that go live and then go dead and without a lot of notification on them. As happens, people start them and then they don't get the following on there that they want, and then they kind of just let it go by the wayside. Honestly, I'm only on 2 or 3 different servers. Okay, so here's one thing I do want to show everybody. And when I started this this paper was flat, and this is B paper, and I think I started at the beginning by saying B paper has some weird qualities, and it doesn't take water really well. If I go like this, well, maybe you can't see it that way. How are you going to see that? There's a big... oh, look at this. There's a big lump right there. Guess you can see that. There's a big lump right right here. A big warp. And another one right here in his head. Right where you want that water to be, right where the water is. There's a big bloop right there. It's making it challenging. A buckle. There's a big buckle right there. For sure, it's a buckle. I'm going to add a little blue to my black here, just to make sure it's cold. And my black that I have here is not straight black. So I'm not a big fan of straight black. Straight black to me is just, it's a killer color. And so I'm mixing into that black that I have a little bit of sepia, a little bit of neutral tint, and now a little bit of blue. And sometimes you won't notice it that much, and sometimes you will. But when you do, when you see it and it's just black, you're like, oh, cool, that's a weird, it's just black in most applications. And when you see it and it's these other colors mixed in there, you're always like, wow, that's got some interest, that's neat. Or that holds my interest for a minute. I wonder what that color is, and it just adds that little extra bit of interest. It's easy to get. It doesn't take much, and I mean, I guess it's also easy not to do it, but it's so much easier just to it. I think you have to join Discord and then join. Yes, you have to join Discord first. You have to join Discord, download the app on your phone or on your computer. No, I guess you could do it online. I guess you could do it just through a browser, but it's easier in many instances if you download the app somewhere and log into it. And then you can search for my server, or you can just follow the link down below and it'll take you right to my Discord server, and you'll see some of the wonderful folks that are here are in that server, and we have some conversations there, and hopefully we're going to have a lot more conversations. And hopefully we'll just continue on with what we're doing. All right, I've got some color now on him here and there. And yes, we're going to come back and we're going to redefine that eye. This is it's going to lighten a little bit. I can't quite get into that yet. I have to stall a little bit. I can't quite get into his head there. I think I can do something here though. Well, knowing this paper, I can't really get onto that. So we're gonna take a minute and we're gonna talk about what's coming up next, because hopefully this and this will dry very similarly. So what's left to do on his head up here? Let's talk about that. I want to, and I'll let you see that a little larger if you want. Where's the one I point with? So I want to draw in a couple of feather groups up here. And if I hold this up, let me move my microphone out of the way. I hope you can just see where this dark area is and this lighter red area here. I think is a good natural break, and I can just do a little bit of outlining here, and it'll add some definition to his head. I don't want to do too much up there. I love the colors. We're gonna come in. We're gonna add another layer or two to his eye. That's easy. I like the beak. I don't want to do anything with his beak. I want to leave his beak there. I think his beak is fantastic. And then down here, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of extra dark down here, and then I've got a few areas up here where I'm going to add some feather groups also, and that might be about it. I don't want, yeah, I'm going to add a little bit more color. Maybe we can do it now. I'm going to add a little bit more color down here. I think it's a little blah. The official term of blah. It just needs a little bit more here. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of extra color. Let's just bring that up a little bit. Right, he's a cardinal. He's the harbinger of spring, right? We want him to be nice and vibrant. So let's make him a little bit more vibrant by adding just a little bit more color. And then we'll come and we'll add some of the feather patterns down here. Oh, I think that looks nice just like that. Okay. All right. It's amazing what a little color will do, right? Oh, the whole painting just changed by adding that little bit of color. I like it. I like it. I like it. It does mean we're going to have to wait for it to dry a little bit longer. And it's going to take a little bit longer because it's on that gator board. But, oh, he's just that little extra color really made him pop off of there a little bit more. Let's see what we can do here. We get a little bit of this gray, and let's see if we can do this. I'll put a line here. And right on around like this. Oh, don't give me, yeah, okay, good, 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 good. And just a little bit up there, right? And you're going to see it's going to, all of a sudden, oh, you can't even see. Oh, come on, video. Okay, look. Let me hold it up. You can just see now there are some big feathers right there, right on his cheek. All right, just like boom. We did almost nothing to it. Did almost nothing, and he's got more interest to him all of a sudden. I should say, I love doing that. When I discovered I could do that as a technique and it would add a lot of interest to a lot of my paintings, I was like, why haven't I been doing that all along? I could just be making these little tiny lines, and it has a huge impact on what we do. That's what I want to do down here too, but we've got to get that to dry. I could flail it around like this. Being on this gator board, it's going to take a little bit longer. That enhanced his shoulder. Are you talking here, which is kind of, or here? This shoulder? This shoulder. Where's his shoulder? Here? I mean, that's a wing back there. So that's kind of his shoulder. I definitely want to have that break between the feathers on his head and the feathers on his body. His little feet look so real. His little tiny feet. His little feet. His little baby feet. Look. That one, I think this one looks kind of like somebody stepped on his toe, and it blew up a little bit. But this one I think looks pretty good. Let's see. As we're waiting there, now we can come back. Let's do this. A little bit of water here. And I'm going to do a little bit on the bottom of his eye. Here, come on. Right on around. Like the bottom half. Okay. And I'm not going to leave that as kind of like a hole there. I want to just soften those edges. And one thing I do want to do is I'm going to do the same thing I did over there, but for his eye over here. And just enhance that a little bit. Now, look, all of a sudden, I know you wouldn't necessarily have a feature like this on feathers. I don't think that matters. I really don't. There's that eye. I haven't forgotten about that eye. The eye's coming. The eye's going to get better. But I just think, right, if we can enhance some of the area around here, it just gives him a little bit more character, right? Just a little bit. I've never gotten all the fancy named colors. I always buy 3 cool, 3 warm primaries, and black and white, except for watercolor. No whites there, and mix my own. That's all you need. That's what I mean, that's basically what I have. I have warm and cold reds, right? Warm and cold reds, warm and cold blues, warm and cold greens, neutrals, and warm and cold yellows. That's how I decided on my palette. All I need is a few. Don't need that many. Oh, come on, dry. Okay, what else do we need to do? Schminky, Sylph has a schminky blue forest color. It makes me want to look that up. I don't know that I've ever heard of blue forest. Is it blue? Oh, did that give a little life to his eye there? I think that gave a little bit of life to his eyeball. I'm right, Michael. Oh, wait a minute. I'm right. What am I right about? Yeah, I'm tempted to buy all the colors, but I figure you just have a few and they always work together. Quite honestly, I bought some crazy colors and I have some weirdo colors that I use, but I've been using this basic color palette for a decade and I've never really wanted anything more. Nah, that may not be true. Because I use Daniel Smith palette if I paint flowers. I think the palette I have for that just lends itself to flowers a little bit better. But for general painting, man, I think this is a rock star palette to mix any color you want. And if you don't have that color in there, you don't need it. You don't need it. Ellie Ray, you never tried painting gold or metallic or anything else? Looks like fun. It is fun. I do have special metallic colors. I will say that. Okay, I'm waiting. Come on, Bert. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I am going to flip this a little bit. See if we can hurry this along. I don't think... I rearranged my studio. You guys know I rearranged my studio. I'm not even sure where my hair dryer is at to be able to do anything with it. How are we doing? We gotta... Let's see. Let's just do a little test here. If I do this really dry, what's going to happen to me? Let's see. I'm going to go here. I might be able to get away with this. Really dry. Here, this one maybe not quite as much, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. Here, this is a feather group that comes down this way. Just some gentle negative painting. Not negative about you, my bird friend. Just negative on the painting. Just little tiny bits of water, little tiny bits of pigment. I gotta move my camera. So you can see little feather groups there jumping in. Right? We don't need anything big. We don't need any hero statement at this point. We need little tiny things. Little tiny feather groups that are really gonna help to give him just that little bit of interest that you want to see. And anybody who's wondering, who's not seen this before, yeah, I do this with a lot of the birds that I paint. Sometimes I have them pre-drawn on here, and sometimes I don't. I will look at the underlying color pattern that's on here and try to stick with that a little bit. Try to match it just ever so slightly. Like right here, there must be one right here, right? Boop, boop, boo. And go with that and allow the underpainting to tell me where these feather groups should be. Sometimes I do individual feathers, sometimes I just do a whole group like I'm doing right now. But regardless, it's just whatever the painting is giving me. It's nothing that I'm doing on my own. I'm just trying to understand what's already there and go with it. And all of a sudden, without having done too much, really without having done much of anything at all, now we've got a bird that has a bunch of little tiny feathers on him. So it looks like he's all boop, boop, boop. He's all puffed out like that. I need to look, are there any other areas I could do this on? The problem sometimes is it's a little addictive to do. And you like to do it, and sometimes you do a little bit too much that maybe you shouldn't do. And sometimes you don't do as much as you should do. So it's hard to figure it out sometimes, but I like where we're at with this. I want to get one more right in here, something right in the middle, if I can do that. just think I need something right in that general area. And I'm just barely, I mean, you can see how little paint I'm putting on there. And then scrumbling most of it back off. Little tiny brush, scrumble some of that paint on there, take some of it right back off. It's about, you know, tiny little bits at this point in time. Oh, and there he is. Okay. I think, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do... I put little lines on his tail feathers back there, and I don't think I'm going to do too much more. I don't think I'm going to do much more to him. I'm going to end him there. If I do more than this, I think I'm going to just be kind of puttering around with it, right? I'm going to sign it here. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go into a little bit of Elleria. One day I plan on owning a full set of Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. Wow, they're my guilty pleasure. Wow. Jacqueline, I bought a set in a wood box. Also, the Shire and other collections. Wow. Susan says, the Cardinal looks good. Thank you. Well, this was fun. Thank you. So, okay. Let's talk about some things I like and some things I don't like. And I'm big on a little self-reflection, right? Let's talk about what worked and what didn't work. Let's hope to carry forward into the next painting the things that did work, and then we can leave the things that didn't work maybe behind. So I like, if I take his head right here, this, don't worry about it, the black part. Don't worry about his eye. I love letting watercolors be watercolors. I want to see some of that watercolory goodness, right? What does that mean? I don't know. It's a little hard to define, but we all know it when we see it. It's the mixture of paint from one area, darker to lighter to darker to lighter to different color, mix it all in there. I love the way his head looks. It's got a cool watercolory look to me. Okay, I love that. I like the black down here. It's not too dark. I don't think it's overpowering. And yes, I do like his eye. I like the way his eye turned out. That highlight in there. This tube of gouache was a great buy. For me, I used it a lot more than I ever thought I would. And I like the way his beak turned out. It's got some dimension to it without having to expressly give that dimension. The dark to light to dark to light to dark to light to dark, all the way across both halves of his beak there, really give that some dimension and help that stand out. I love this tree branch, right? I look up here, up there, where so you can see it. I'm pointing at the monitor, and I don't think it looks as good up there as it does on my page. I think it looks fantastic on my page. I like this little one. I think that turned out great. I like this foot. Now, what didn't turn out quite so great are all these little feathers down here. And I don't think that was necessarily because of the little feathers, right? It's still just a little tiny bit damp. And I think had I waited, it would have turned out better, but that's okay. Right, we're closing in on 2 hours, and I try to hold this to, I really do try to hold this to about an hour and a half, so that not everybody has to stay up till midnight to watch this. So that's kind of the good and the bad of everything here. I like the way his leg turned out back here. His little leg, he's got like a little shadow under there and a little dark just behind where his foot is. His foot stands out a little bit. Looks like he's holding on there. So I'm if I put my hand here and cover up this spot, I'm really happy with the whole thing. Ellie Rhea says the marbled effect on his belly suggests feathers. The marble effect, that watercolory color change effect, it really helps enhance the fact that there's dimensionality. There's something going on there. There's light hitting it in different ways, and that is pretty cool. That's all I have for you all today. So I want to say, first of all, thank you all for joining me and helping to make the end to my Wednesday so enjoyable. I really do enjoy coming here and spending an hour or 2 hours with everybody. This is the highlight of the middle of my week. It truly is. And so thank you for that. I hope you will all come back next week when we are going to be painting actually 2 penguins I'm going to be doing next week. A larger penguin, an emperor penguin, and a little baby penguin. But the challenge is penguins next week. So I hope you all come back and join me for that. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And until next week, good night and happy painting. Bye-bye.